Just waiting for Zoom to load here.
Yeah, you guys are coming through just fine.
Okay, good afternoon. Town of LaPointe Special Planning and Zoning Town Plan Commission zoning rewrite question and answer session number 2. 9 p.m. October 8th, 25. Call to order, roll call. Carl Crump.
Tim Peters.
Dawn Suchet.
Paul Wilharm. Draft zoning rewrite question and answer meeting schedule. So we had one September 24th covering sections 1 through 5. And today we will cover sections 6 to 10. And Rich here will give us an overview of the process.
Yeah, thanks, Paul, and thanks everyone for attending. There are handouts for those of you that are in the room. I've got a PowerPoint presentation we're working so that people don't have to turn around and watch the screen. Let me go ahead and I'm going to share that with everyone that is. Give me 1 second here.
We can see it now, Rich.
Okay, sounds good. So, trying to go ahead here and get the. Give me 1 second. All right, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So thank you. So just a quick overview of kind of the process. Some of you may have been in attendance previously. There may be some new people. Wanted to just quickly kind of go over the timeline. And so now we're at the bottom of page 1 for those that are looking at the handout. The zoning ordinance was last updated in 2019. And then fast forward 5 years to 2024, the town published a comprehensive plan amendment. And really that's a roadmap for the community to follow to achieve its goals. So it highlighted some of the aspects that are important to the community through various polls and surveys. So it really kind of sets a guideline of things that people are interested in. And that set the basis for the zoning rewrite. The draft rewrite was available for the public on August 14th. And we held a public hearing on September 3rd. The first of 3 Q&A sessions was held on September 24th. We have a session tonight and then one more on October 29th. So the public hearing was well attended. I counted, I think, 33 that attended online and in person. But we did get a lot of feedback after that, and they wanted these type of question and answer sessions. And the town heard the citizens and the residents and the property owners loud and clear. Tonight, like I said, is the second of 3 question and answer sessions. The final one again is October 29th. So your feedback and input are valuable and greatly appreciated. While there are changes throughout the document, we did want to methodically review the draft document with you, breaking it into 5 chunks. And basically September 24th was sections 1 through 5. Tonight, sections 6 through 10. October 29th is sections 11 through 16. Next slide is, we're on the top of page 3 now. We're down to just 2 slides. But tonight, we want to hear from you. What modifications do you like? Do you have any questions? What are your concerns? What would you change? And why? And like I said, the last slide is really, we're going over sections 6 through 10. That includes the regulation of special uses, conditional uses, administration, non-conforming uses, and then section 10, the Board of Zoning Appeals. And we also recognize that, it's not possible for some people to attend all three of these sessions. If there's something in section 1 through 5, we're going to open it up at the end to kind of go back and get your comments. Because again, your comments are very important to us. So we just wanted to take here a few minutes at the beginning to go over where we're at, we've been. But we want to spend really the balance of our time together tonight hearing from you. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this. And I think we're back on the full screen with everyone. So any questions before I turn it back over to Paul to go through the next steps? Okay. Oh, yes, Alex.
So after whatever is the next, what's the process after that?
Yeah. So what we've been doing so far, Paul, do you want me to answer or do you want?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So we've been collecting all of the comments. I actually have a notebook back in my office where every comment received, I'm printing out, I'm sharing with the entire TPC group, and I'm putting in a notebook. And we're going to go through all of those as a team, as a whole, and take a look and evaluate each one to determine, what changes, should be made to the document.
Okay, and then would there be another rewrite and review, or is that?
There will probably be some sort of abbreviated additional review, that incorporates, we were very careful in the first draft that was distributed August 14th that we use track changes.
Yeah.
So because I always, if I've got 207 page documents, to do a page by page comparison, even I wouldn't have fun doing that, honestly. And I knew that no one else would too. So we did the track changes. So that way everyone can see what's being deleted, what's being added, what wording has been changed. So we're going to have that last, final document that has track changes yet again. And I think it uses a different color the third time. And there will probably be a short, we'll post it online, full disclosure. And then there'll be recommendations, right, Paul? I mean, it's the TPC will make recommendations to the town board at that point. So like I said, your comments are very important. I have a notebook where I'm collecting those, and every member of the TPC has seen those. And it's really a process of capturing all three listening sessions, the whole document, because there could be a change in section 11, and I'm just sort of making this up, right? But it could impact something in section 4. Or we could have competing comments. We could have someone saying, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. And someone else saying, yeah, no, I'm really not interested in that.
Right.
And that's what we're going to work through together as a team. So please, I know you've submitted comments, please continue to do so.
No matter what we come up with, it still has to go to the town's attorney.
Yes.
Right. What's a kind of a segue on his comment? What's the timetable on this? Like 6 months, a year? Because I mean, you can work on this and then come back and someone still isn't happy, or I mean, you can work on this till next summer. You still might be at square one.
Well, we're hopeful one more public hearing will wrap it up.
I mean, and you think maybe like end of October, you have one more listening session, and then in 2 or 3 months you're done.
That'd be in a perfect world, yes.
Probably by the end of the calendar year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, A lot of municipalities do this, have a public hearing, and it goes in one ear and out the other, and they just pass what they want. Because a
Yeah.
public hearing is just a statute that they have to follow, but they
Right.
don't have to listen to the community.
Right.
I'm blessed to live here because we listen.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
So let's talk about section 6, and if anybody has any questions, please try to have the page number in the ordinance, which would make it helpful, and please state your name before you ask the question.
Oh,
Well, that deals with regulations of special uses. Paul?
Referencing the letter from early September, once again, under page 68 from this big packet, 6.1B junk salvage yards. You have it in there, but I was curious, how are you gonna enforce this? You can't enforce the low hanging fruit, such as off-premise directionary signs. How are you gonna enforce junk and salvage yard, which is like one of the most contentious things, other than maybe condominiums on Nebraska Road? Fence, they see is sitting there, oh, sorry. The other thing is accessory dwellings, a little farther, just a little farther down, it's page 7 and 6.2.8. I'd suggest keeping the size limitation 65% of the primary dwelling or 1,500 square feet, whichever is less. In the ordinance, this is simply math and was inserted to avoid the double density. Similar along the same things, with a home occupation and home business, keep the home occupation, only allow those living at the home to work there, and limit the area to 25% of the dwelling, and limit home business to 25% of the principal dwelling. Nearly all home occupation and home businesses are in the low density or residential zones and should remain so zoned. Otherwise, you're making the entire island C1 from Nebraska Road all the way up to W1, and then just sit back and see what happens. I mean, make everything commercial, but for that, they need to do away with zoning, make it easy for you guys, but just see what happens. Small cottage industry is fine, but don't make anything, because otherwise you're just gonna open up Pandora's box.
Anybody have any thoughts on enforcement?
Well, the junk salvage yard portion was that was taken out of state statute, correct? I thought,
Yeah, I mean, the DNR has,
or the DNR,
yeah,
had something to do with the state.
Could they enforce it then instead of putting it on your shoulders?
they can,
Okay.
because of what we took it right out of state statutes with the 5 vehicles, I think.
Yeah, outdoor storage of more than 5 and less than 10 unregistered motor vehicles requires a land use permit, must be renewed every 2 years. Outdoor storage of more than 9 unregistered motor vehicles requires a land use permit and must be renewed annually and must comply with the Wisconsin state statute. But there again, enforcement gets back to our enforcement mechanism, which is a zoning administrator, so
And a written complaint.
typically.
Anything else, Paul?
Other things, but it's farther on down, if I want to finish 6, that's fine with me.
But I think junk salvage yards pretty much deals with non-operating vehicles. Remember at one time back in 2006 or 7, they were trying to,
Create a junk
ordinance, which did everything from a wood pile being junk to,
That's what Brent is thinking about.
Yeah.
Fire would have been considered Jimmy. I mean,
right, that was really heavy-handed, and I
Yeah,
think this is looking more at cars that are just kind of sitting there and,
like derelict, you might say.
well, I mean, the litmus test is, whether they're registered or not.
right,
Somebody could have a vehicle that's not operational and can register it, and there's, nothing anybody can do about that.
I'm just playing devil's advocate here. What if someone says I'm a classic Mustang buff and have like 10 junk Mustang, I'm hanging on to your parts, so I'm gonna get one of them running these days, I'm gonna sell it for big bucks. I'm just throwing it out.
If they all have collector plates on them, that's, you know,
Well, I'm not trying to be an evil, I'm just saying what someone might try and pull on. Personally,
okay.
I'm a Barracuda man myself, but which is,
Well, you gotta start somewhere, so.
but
See if we get more comments
But
on it.
again, if you, go after, to me, there's lower hanging fruit than something like that, in my mind. But yeah, someone else that might say having 3 junk cars is the worst thing. Like, to me, there's lower hanging fruit than that to go after. In my opinion, the quote Lorraine Ortiz.
Any questions online for section 6? So we'll move on to section 7, conditional uses. Any questions on that?
I think I got one there, you don't mind.
Go ahead. You might be answering others' questions too, which is good.
Personally, I'd suggest, do it 99.9% of what other municipalities do, and have you guys decide to CUP instead of the town board. No one else, in the state has the town board, or for that matter, the county board decide CUPs. It's the zoning board that decides them, not the town board, the county board. As my attorney told me, the way the town has it, it's Byzantine at best. I think the town's attorney said it's unique, and to me, unique is being generous. Usually it goes from the zoning board, if you don't like that, you go to the Board of Appeals, you don't like that, then it goes to circuit court. Not from, you make a recommendation, and then it goes to the town board, which makes the decision, then it goes to circuit court. It's unique. Now, it may not necessarily be illegal, but it's unique. And I'd suggest it goes to what 99.9% of everyone else in the state does. And if for some reason the town doesn't want to do it that way, fine. What you do is say, okay, town will appoint, you do everything. You do the public hearing, you do the posting, you have the clerk do all that legwork, and they can have all the fun, they can have the parties argue, and you get out of it, you don't have the headache, the pissing, the moaning, the bitching, and the belly aching, and you're out of it, and they can have all of it. I got a quote from Pulp Fiction, but it's extremely dirty, foul, and racist, so I'm not gonna say.
Actually, I posed that to Lynn Markham from the University of Wisconsin, Stephen Point, who's a land use specialist. And I said, well, why don't we just have the town appoint town board do it? And she said, well, I'd advise against that, even though it's, you know, I know you probably feel frustrated at times, but I'd advise against that. Oh, but she also said, yeah, typically it goes to the town plan commission and then it's appealed to the Board of Appeals.
Well, it's less than 90 days to Christmas, and Santa Claus's email address is active.
Don't have a computer, but I do have a stamp and an envelope and a letter.
But also the way we have it set up now is not illegal. I mean, it's a legal way of doing it.
It's unique, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
By the way, I would like to quote Samuel L. Jackson, but like I said.
Right. Samantha?
Just a question on his comment. Has the town always operated in this way?
Yeah, yes.
So
long as I can
the
remember.
decision was never ultimately with the TPC, it's always been given
It
into.
says the town had zoning in 72.
I asked that question one time and they said that a town board member told me, well, because we're elected, we know more, smarter, but
We're smart.
I'm not saying that reflecting on the current town board or anything, but back in the early 2000s, I had a town board member kind of say that I'm smarter than you. Good for you. Disagreed.
I have a question. Excuse me, I have a question about that. So if the town of LaPointe is deviating sort of from the rest of what the state of Wisconsin is doing, how, and it's such a small community, and I live in a community where I go to my zoning meetings here too in Leesburg, and we're eventually going to move up there. But how do you, in circumstances like that, keep it fair so that these things are judged consistently? I guess I'm looking for consistency as things are applied to people who are putting their best effort forward. And so that's just a comment I wanted to make, because it's a very small community up there. And even though people work very hard to keep everything very fair, sometimes things slide in, I think. And so what is the most consistent way to keep all of these things going in a way that's equal across the board? And that's my question to you all, because I don't know. I just am asking.
Yeah.
Paul Bremer, the only question I have, and it's a dirty word, is politics. An election happens every year at Irvine Heidi.
Well, I live in Virginia, in Leesburg, Virginia, so I'm like sitting in the stew out here. I understand politics.
Heidi in Virginia, there's a lawyer hiding behind every tree.
Well, we're
I just think
recommending.
it's something to consider in how things move forward as the community grows.
Well, I think the biggest difference is right now, we make a recommendation, town board makes the final decision, and then your appeal is to circuit court, which is a lengthy, expensive process for whoever's appealing. If you did it the other way, where we would make the final decision, then the person could appeal to the Board of Appeals, which is a local appellate body. And I think, to me, that's the biggest difference. And that to appeal, I think it's $750 or something like, there is a cost involved, but you're not going to circuit court, which is going to be more than $750. I'm sure, especially if you hire an attorney. A lot more, so.
I think it's like
Thank you.
anything. I mean, it's like anything. Change would come from, the community. Anything else? Section 7, we can move on to section 8, administration.
Zoning administrator. What's the good work?
Not at all.
Just I'm smoking cigarettes, drinking coffee, and popping noses.
There you go. I do.
I make sure it's forced. They're carrying the 24-pack underneath the arm.
Oh, it's under the desk.
I don't think there were any real substantial changes in section 8, but yeah, if anyone had comments on it.
Anybody online with a comment about section 8? No, we'll move on to section 9, non-conforming uses. And structures. Questions, comments, anything, Paul?
Something up. I didn't know anything about it.
Anybody online? Move on to section 10, Board of Zoning Appeals.
What I do like seeing that you jive the state statutes with posting requirements. And I think when you got a percentage in there for the amount of variances before, it just said usually incrementally small. And to me, what's incrementally small, like 2,000%, which if you want 10,000%, I guess 2,000 is small, all in the eye of the beholder.
Well, it's just like our last Q&A when there was concern about low density, what constitutes that? Low density has different meanings to different people. Same thing with medium density, high density.
5,000%, so 1,000% is low density, it's. Yeah, that needs to be better defined.
Yeah. Agree.
So if that, I do like when you put numbers in there, is the 25% is now it's put on buildings like that.
on the BOA, is there anything else that you noticed?
No, but like I said, put, the giant state statutes, because some of that stuff, like, another example, is you post that posted twice in the newspaper, which when you have a daily press, you know, it's printed daily, that's fine, it was only printed once a week. If someone, made a mistake in posting, shit, now you have to wait 2 weeks. So if someone didn't put the correct posting in, the wrong date, the wrong time, you had to wait not just one couple of days, you had to wait like 2 weeks to get it reposted. We found that out one time. Which really stinks. So just having it posted in the post office is going to be a huge time saver in case a mistake is made. Something like that. It drives the state statutes. I found that out from the Towns Association. So I'm happy that's moving to drive the state statutes.
Excellent. Thank you. Anybody have any comments, going back to September 24th on, sections 1 through 5?
And there will be an opportunity as well, yeah, October 29th, if there's comments from the first 10 chapters. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
But I never said my name, so Alex Hecker. What didn't you hear when I was? I mean, I guess I submitted everything in writing, but that was wanted to talk about.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, and actually, you can actually hear better, and this is good advice to anyone that's online, is if you use the closed caption function on YouTube, it gives a script of what's being said.
Oh, so you could read if you're not able.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, and because I do the minutes for these, and I turn on the closed caption because I'm able to see things that I'm like, what did they say?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I just, formally say I submitted those comments. We had 30 or 40 signatures on it.
yes, and those, like I said, those have been shared with all of TPC.
And I think the 2 zones you were concerned with, we kind of clarified specifically where we were thinking
Yeah.
they would be,
Yep.
not the whole island.
Good.
Yeah.
It's good.
Couple specific spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Samantha?
Yeah, can we build a little more public awareness on the last session? Just so that as many people as possible are aware and, I by chance got this tonight. Cause I didn't see it anywhere. So, we have a tech service, maybe reminding folks that this is the last one and you can comment on all sections. Just.
Yeah,
really get that.
I guess a text might,
I've seen it on the website. I'm just saying, I live in my bubble.
Sure,
And
sure.
it's just, if
Yeah,
something were to come to me, if I were to see it online,
Okay,
it would be helpful.
yeah, we'll
A lot
look
of
into
people.
that. Yeah, we'll definitely look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to get the word out that
Yeah.
these sessions are happening.
Yeah.
I take it around to, the library and the post office, and here I try to get it posted. It is on the calendar for October 29th on the website.
It's online on the website. I'm just saying, something like a quick text can really
Okay,
bring in people who are busy through their day and
sounds good.
not.
I kind of wish it would work like the public hearing where word of mouth is, the best form of advertising.
Before this, and I walked around the grocery store and talked to a number of people, and not one of them knew this was happening, and they're all locals. So,
Okay,
just to get a read.
thank you for that. I do
Yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Any questions from online? Paul?
I don't know if it'd be under, CUP, but I know, like for this WOW CUP, the town board is deliberating, if they were talking about a letter that came in after the public hearing, something that the board never saw, and they were basing their decision on and making the conditions based upon that said letter. But it kind of isn't fair for you guys, when you made your conditions for that CUP, when you never saw that letter. And I know the one town board member that was saying, oh, this is talking about this letter. How the heck can you base your conditions when you, on the letter, you guys never saw. So to me, it's sort of like, and this is another reason, it's like, is this a Johnny come lately sort of thing? So maybe this is something else. I mean, should maybe I wait until right before the town board decides the new zoning ordinance, and maybe I should write a letter to the town board at the 11th hour and submit something if you guys make your recommendation, you know. Maybe you should do the same thing when you put in something at the last minute and sweep something under the rug, you might have a better chance of getting some success. I'm just throwing this out. I'm just saying.
There's always that last minute arm twisting. It's been
Yeah,
going
I'm
on
just
forever.
saying, why not? It works in the past.
Not disagreeing. I'm just saying, yeah, it's been going on for a long time. But that's up to the town board to have the fortitude to say, hey, listen, you had public hearings, you had your chance.
Thank you, Paul.
Like they always say for investment professionals, past performance is no indication of future success. But if you're selling a mutual fund, if you're trying to sell a mutual fund that last year was 40% a whole, in order to sell it was 40% a positive, it's real easy to sell something that's 40% a whole.
Well, I think we're adjourned.
If there's anything else online or
Yeah,
we had a few, another person join.
well, I think.
Yeah,
And do you have any questions, John, on the zoning rewrite, or you're here for the meeting afterwards?
I'm here for the meeting afterwards.
Okay, thanks. So if there's no other questions from anybody online, we're adjourned with the question and answer set. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come.
Rich?
Thanks, Rich.
Take line 5.
You tell him it's gonna be another one, we're immediately coming.
Yeah,
Thanks, Alex. Yep, thanks.
Yeah, so
If you're having it immediately after, or are you waiting until 6?
no,
Uh,
immediately after.
yeah, we're gonna,
Could we put just a small notice in the next Gazette that this meeting is
Hey, we're not
I
gonna-
don't think-
It's not gonna come out in time.
yeah, I don't think it's gonna.
in time?
No, next, because that's probably after hunting season.
What about just pieces of paper we could put on boards around town?
Sure, we'll look.
On like the chamber board, I could put something up.
Yes.
Can we do that for the harbor commission too? They're really good at 24 hours in 1 minute posts and stuff.
What is,
Harbor commission.
oh. Okay,
At least we give people, a week typically.
I'll be back
Friday.
in 1 minute and then we get started.
Okay.
Take 2 minutes, dude.
what time you,
You might need a Diet Mountain Dew.
In a minute or two, we'll start this next meeting. We're just taking a little breather here.
Well, I'm gonna hum.
I might get.
I
on
said
the
you're gonna
table
hum.
and dance.
You next.
He squirreled out of our first. I threw away, it's a good thing you have a lot of paper saved, because I threw about a foot tall stack of old stuff out. I'm sure some of it was needed, but that's the way it goes. How do you find anything in your walls?
Pardon?
Do you find anything in your walls?
All my research?
Oh, they're so full they talk.
Yeah. It's all up here. If I have a stroke, I'm screwed. A lot cheaper than spray and foam.
Yeah, but how do you know,
Your building looks good.
do you have the width on the walls where things are?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'd be smart enough to that part.
Okay, so I'm gonna, got a new sign MC. please. And an agenda for this meeting. So, you have an agenda?
Always.
Sweet.
No.
It's the zoning ordinance with the update
Yeah, I have one. You want it?
on the website.
It is.
Listen,
Does it go, I was just using the one that you have on the website. And there's no edits or the parts that have changed.
Okay,
I
we'll,
don't know if I'm just missing it or,
yeah, we'll take a look at that. We've got a copy here that shows like the changes are in red. Okay.
I was just, didn't have it here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll check on that to make sure that it's still there.
Are we,
That's a great point.
are we good to go, Rich? Town will appoint special planning and zoning town plan commission meeting. 6 p.m. or immediately following the TPC question and answer session number 2, October 5th, 2025. Call to order, roll call.
Charles Brummer.
Tim Peters.
Paul Wilharm. And David Allen is here. via
Yep,
Zoom.
David Allen. Thank you. Thanks, Paul.
Public comment, less than 1 minute. Paul?
Just for clarification. No, if Barb Russell has a permit for the sanitary district that we have a meeting next Wednesday. They don't have a permit yet, but in the past, I know maybe things have changed. If a permit's a building permit isn't issued until a sanitary permit's issued. Because way back when, there were problems when a building permit's issued contingent upon a sanitary permit's being issued. But then someone would start building without a sanitary permit being issued. To avoid that, someone had to get a sanitary permit, bring it before the board, and then a building permit would be issued. Is that still in effect? Or is it going back to the way it used to be that, we'll issue a permit and then we'll just wait until we get a sanitary, and then you just don't go until you get a sanitary, because we've had problems in the past. I didn't tell us with the board, someone would start building even though they didn't have a sanitary, and then it might have been months, sometimes longer before they got a sanitary. Which one is it?
Yeah, so I can jump in on that. I mean, as part of this process, we've been working with Zach, with the sanitary district. The plan for the project, has been submitted. And it's on the agenda for the Madeline Sanitary District to take up on October 15th.
Yeah,
So in a week.
but it hasn't been issued.
It has not been issued.
Okay, because they have, I'm gonna quote Benny Hill here, never assume, because doesn't make an ass out of you and me. I fully get it, probably, but they haven't gotten it yet.
Correct. Yeah, and we've been working through, there were 3 different options, and we've been coordinating with Zach. And Mr. Gretzner has been working with the plumber on the most viable solution for that. So correct, it's not approved yet, but it is on the agenda for the 15th.
Okay.
Any other public comment, online public comment? So old business, review, discuss, and possibly approve the land use permit applications. The first one is 1045 Sunny Slope Road, replacement accessory dwelling with attached garage. Grutzner.
I want to thank Rich for getting us a plot plan and a land use application in front of us. I noticed on the land use application, it still says 1,350 square feet. The way the ordinance is written, and I'm going to read it so everyone knows what it says in the ordinance. The 9.2 non-conforming structures B. In addition to a non-conforming structure is allowed provided the addition complies with the current requirements of this ordinance, including dimensional requirements. The addition shall not exceed 50% of the existing building footprint, including overhangs, eaves, and other impervious surfaces. Total enclosed square footage of building or proposed addition shall not exceed 2,000 square feet. Before that, underneath the general definition or character of a non-conforming structure, the use of the structure existing at the time of the adoption or amendment of this ordinance may be continued through, although the structure does not conform to the established dimensional requirement or floor area ratio requirements of the district in which it is located. A non-conforming structure can be moved, altered, reconstructed, subject to the following conditions, of which I read one. But to me, just to break it down, I look at this as, you know, when you have your different scenarios, I think number 3 is the closest. It's a 60-foot road. And you're only going to have one front yard setback, which is the lake in this case. So the rear would be 30 feet in my estimation. But my big hangup is still that square footage requirement. If the assessor said the original structure was 630 square feet, 50% of that for the addition is 315 square feet, which gives them a building envelope of 945 square feet. If this new building was completely, you know, outside of the setback, they could build the 1350 structure that they want. But I still think the way this is written and intended, in my estimation, is that the addition to the original structure of 630 is 50%, which is 315 square feet. And that's what I just want to say starting off the discussion.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And I did want to talk a little bit about that 630. Because, you know, when we met September 3rd, there were questions on, you know, do you know the size of what the original structure was? Well, it's gone, right? It was gone at that point. So I did reach out to Evan, who tore it down. I reached out to Steve, who is our assessor, and I reached out to the property owner. And we did get varying numbers. We got anywhere from Evan, who thought it was maybe in the 450 range, I think. And the assessor came in at 630, and the property owner came in just over 1,000. And the numbers are all in this package. So one of the things I got to thinking of was the exactness of that assessor number. So I did reach out to the assessor today, and to try to figure out how those are calculated. I've never been an assessor. I've never played one on TV. So I just got to figure that out. And he did get back to me today. The measurements were taken before him. He had inherited those measurements.
Sure. Yeah.
And when he's in the field, he's looking at those as he's updating the assessments.
Right.
He never measured it. But generally speaking, that, you know, if it's in the ballpark, say plus or minus 10%, then that's something that wouldn't be noticeable enough to, like, if you go into, you see a building that's 500 square feet, and then when you get there, it says it's 500 square feet, and you get there and it's 2,000 square feet, then you're going to remeasure. He didn't remeasure, but he felt, he was in agreement with me that it was probably within, you know, 10% or so. So that 630 number, someone put that into the system a while ago. We don't know how long. I don't know how long it was in there.
So it was undoubtedly a previous assessor that had done the measurement and had that on their card for, you know, assessment purposes. So, you know, if that existed, if Steve Nordquist told us or told you that 630 is what he was basing it on, I think that's what we should base our determination size on. Because I mean, to me, that is a good non-biased opinion of this. You know, the homeowner has one size and Mrs. Harrison has another, but without having some tool other than this, I don't know what else we can go off.
Well, and the reason I looked into that was because I wanted to understand a little bit about behind the scenes of how that worked. So I think that 630, while it could be the number, I think there needs to be a little bit of a range in there as
Well,
well.
it could be 10% less.
Oh, it could be.
Yeah,
It
so
could
I
be.
think 630 is, right in
Okay.
the sweet spot, let's say.
Understood, but I had a question earlier today on that, and so I did reach out just to figure out some of the backstory
Sure.
with that. And, I don't know if I want to turn, Paul, I mean, you want to pick it up here? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like, he can build up to the 945 square feet in the setback area. And if he wants his 1350 square foot building, I think it's okay if the balance of it is out of the setback where he can build however many square feet he wants.
so what we know is that the original building was 100% in the right of way and the setback.
We know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I
How
mean,
can we know that without it ever having been surveyed or staked? Or we're
Well,
assuming
well,
that it's
in
within the
looking, so what I was able to find is I was able to find a drawing from 1996 from October 2nd. So
by who did the drawing?
that would have been part of the Sunny Slope project.
That's in the package that.
It's in the package, yeah. It's on page 2. That shows that building does, go into, into the right of way, and that right of way is drawn at 30 feet.
Where'd this drawing come from?
That sewer extension project back in the mid-90s.
Yes,
That's when they extended sewer up Sunny Slope as far as Collins. Michael Collins,
Private sewer.
private sewer, yeah. I
Okay,
think Michael
so
Collins is the last.
To me, that could have been drawn by anybody. There's no real measurements on here as to where that structure was. I mean, I can't go by that. It's,
no, but
If I may,
yeah,
I
please.
think Jack Robleski, the plumber, drew that. I don't think that was so much engineered for the structures. I think that was more or less for the pressurized sewer, so I don't go necessarily by where structures were on that. That was for the sewer, not for buildings.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And I mean, and what also is part of this package that I prepared. And let me just spend 30 seconds, I guess, on that. So everyone does have a package that I've started to create August 11th in reality, right? And kind of talk about the process that we've gone through, obviously the wetlands. Now the permit application is part of that. And honestly, everything that I've collected, as far as diagrams from the property owner, photos, I look back, I've been on this site 5 times since August 11th, taking measurements. So 5 times means that some of the measurements probably 20 times, just because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go the other way now. And, again, to show everyone the stakes and where it's at. The property owner provided drone shots, again, for me to try to determine where that existing building is. Now, the outline of that building does match from the drone shots. It does match what was on the October 1996 drawing, the shape of it. And we know there was a pipe out there that was in the right of way, that was underground, so it was in the right of way.
Yeah, it wasn't a perfect rectangle. There was that addition on one
Yes.
that made a jog and. Yeah.
And that's sort of clear. And again, I included all of these in the,
It's possible that addition was added after the assessor came up with this calculation.
No, I don't think so. Well, when did the assessor come up with the original calculations? I guess that'd be the better
that
question.
I don't know.
I'm basing that on past experiences with assessments.
Okay,
But I believe based in that area, the right of way plus the, plus the setback, that building was entirely in there. So now the question becomes, well, what the property owner is doing is moving it out of the right of way. And significantly out of the right of way. I mean, depending upon if the 30 feet is right, if the 30 feet now from center line is the correct right of way, he's out 10 feet. He's at the corner of the proposed building is 40 feet from the center line of the road. So if alternative 3,
But it's still a non-conforming structure. 'Cause it's-
it is, but I'm weighing into account, the 150%, and Paul's point is that anything within there, it's 119% now. It's 750 square feet that are being built inside the right of way and setback combined. It's completely out of the right of way, completely. And then there's other components that, from a safety perspective, if he were to rebuild that on the exact same footprint, he's in the right of way. And we talked about snow and I understand some of the concerns there, but if you have a car that exits the roadway, whether it's snow, ice, having it 40 feet away from that center line decreases the chance of that vehicle hitting that structure.
In the 20-some years I drove past that dilapidated building, I felt it was 10 feet away from the edge of the asphalt.
Yeah, I'd say 10 to 15, something like that. Seemed pretty close.
No different than that barn at the end of Middle Road on the left as you're going out of town, right up against the asphalt.
So one of the ways of interpreting that is that 750 square feet remains in the easement, which is only 119% below the 150% criteria. And then I add these other things in. I add in the safety aspect of it, of a car exiting the roadway. I look at, and there were errors made on this project 10 months ago, a year ago, almost a year ago now. The property owner, this 37-page document that I submitted, half of it is from what the property owner has submitted to me. Trying to work through this process. Property owner also wanted 2,300 square feet.
That wasn't going to happen because you're limited to 1,500 square feet anyway.
And it's been
For an accessory structure, so.
Well, and
Even if they submitted something where they met all the setbacks, say in the center circle, 2,300 isn't going to fly. It has to be 1,500 per our ordinance. Again, that limits the size of an accessory structure to 65% of the main structure or 1,500. And, I don't know the size of the principal structure, but that, maybe it's getting off subject, but I saw that and I think you're not getting that anyway for our ordinance.
Understood. And this is one of those complex issues that I'm looking at from numerous ways. And, he's less than 1,500 now, he's at 1,350. And, weighing all of this into account and reading the ordinance and 150% and moving it because of safety, at the end of the day, I see this as a viable and acceptable solution. Now, one of the other things, and I'll add that in a few minutes.
I think it's a good compromise. I mean, if the guy built 945 square feet in the setback and left it at that, and later came in and applied for an addition in the area outside of the setback, I'm sure he would get it.
But you can't have an addition on an addition, right? Because the 945 is based upon the 630 with a 50% allowed for an addition, but then you're saying on top of that, you're allowed another addition though?
In the setback area, but, I say,
But
say let him build the balance of what he wants to build outside of the setback area where it would be conforming.
But then it's still an addition to a non-conforming structure that you already granted an addition to get to that 945 is what I'm saying.
Well, you're not granting an addition, you're granting an additional 50%.
But that's how you got to the 945.
Yeah, for what's in the setback, and then let them do the balance of this building outside of the setback. Dave, how do you feel about this?
Well, I appreciate the dialogue and I certainly appreciate Charlie's perspective on accountability to the ordinance as it's written. I think the discussion is full of our best estimates and guesses and the conversation coming to a workable solution based on those assumptions and some of our guesses here. Personally, I like the solution that we've been talking about that allows for it, given how much is actually in that current setback. It's not perfect. I'm thinking of longer term things about when is all of this when are we gonna be able to meet our community with, some of these after the fact solutions when do we get beyond this? And I think some of the education is going to be helpful. But again, our charge here is with incomplete information and finding a workable solution. I do think we have a responsibility to find a workable solution for our community members in this. And given what the setback or the right of way does from those distances are supposed to achieve from a safety perspective, I think the solution that Rich has been talking about and Paul, you seem to agree with, seems workable to me.
Anybody else?
And well, one of the concerns that's been raised to me, right, is are we setting precedents, right, on this? Years ago when I started in aviation, I had someone tell me, Rich, once you've seen one airport, you've seen one airport. And I like this solution because it's another tool in our toolbox. Is it the first one I'm going to go to as zoning administrator? Absolutely not. But there are probably a few other instances on the island where you have something that's 120 years old that was built that is beyond its useful life. A tree falls. I had to come back to the office the other way yesterday on a site visit because we had a tree down on a power line that's going to drive us into this type of unique solution. Again, not my first tool that I take out of the toolbox, but this is one that we could visit again elsewhere because you had a structure get destroyed in a windstorm or a tree falls on it, that they're trying to do the right thing in improving safety and moving it away from the center line of the road. And most of it in alternative 3, I think it's over 50% of the building now is outside of even the setback. That while not ideal, I get it. It's a viable solution that meets the spirit of our ordinance and improves safety for everyone that's traveling on that road.
If he built what was allowed in the footprint and then wanted to add the additional footage outside of it, would he be able to get another permit to do that?
I think there would be a path forward to do that.
Then he couldn't enlarge the one that's in, but he'd have to add on to the one out in order to get his footage that he wants.
Anything he does in the future would have to be outside of the setback.
Yeah.
So
But it's-
I was using that as an example to say, let's just give him the 1350 right now, provided not more than 945 square feet are in the setback.
But would he be allowed to add to the accessory structure? He's got the house, and this would be the accessory structure. Then he would want to add to the accessory structure, would be allowed to do that.
He may not want to add on. I was just using it as an
Oh,
example.
well, the possibility if he's into that footage.
It's a possibility. As long as it's outside of the setback and it's not more than 1,500 square feet, I think he would have a pretty good argument to add on to it.
What do you think, Jim?
Well, I go back to section 9.2B. it reads, an addition to a non-conforming structure is allowed, provided the addition complies with it. So it talks about an addition to a structure. There's no structure there.
Correct.
So how can you grant an addition to a structure if there's no structure?
You have to
I'm
wait till
just
you
saying-
stretch
I
it out.
think we're stretching even the ordinance a little bit to allow anyone to have an addition to a structure that's no longer there based on the footprint of that structure that was there and increase it by 50% and come up with that number of 945 square feet. I think we're actually bending the rules a little bit to even allow.
The 945.
Exactly. If we were to really stick to the ordinance, he could rebuild on that footprint, period. Or try and get a variance or move it back.
Well, you could rebuild where the original house was, or the original structure, and add 50% to that.
Not the way I read the ordinance. The ordinance says you can have an addition to a structure. If there's no structure there,
But there is no structure.
Yeah, but he can put up the structure and then put up the addition.
yes, but he'd have to put up that structure on the footprint.
Yeah.
So we're bending the rules a little bit
Yeah,
to allow him to just even move this.
It's, a lot of it's subject to interpretation.
Yeah.
It's
trying hard to accommodate
It's,
him.
I mean, the easement doesn't help.
I think Dave had some.
Yeah, go
no.
ahead, Dave.
I was just thinking, I think our intention of moving it is for a greater purpose. And, you know, if it's for the public good and safety, I think that's the part where, oh yeah, sure. I mean, to the letter, of course, I understand Jim's point. I think we're trying to accommodate this that's in the best interest of all.
It's still within the limits of the original footprint and increasing it 50%. Not 1,350, which is what they want.
Mhm.
That's my hang up.
Yeah.
Well,
Mine
Yeah.
too.
True, and then you would say, you know, to Paul's point, where they could then place an addition onto that which is not in the setback, which they could do, achieving their 1,350 square feet. The question I have is that a good use of town resources, if that is indeed the intention? And again, I am trying to balance sort of rights and duties and obligations here in what's best. And so I absolutely understand we could force this through that pathway. But if the end result would be a granted addition, that seems wasteful in some ways to me.
yeah, so I'm saying just give them the 1,350 right now. Up to 945 square feet in the setback and the additional in the conforming non-setback.
I don't understand how you look at a structure being set up and saying that because part of it is in an easement, the rest of it can be whatever it wants to be. I think we're looking at a size limitation on the building, no matter where it is, setback or
The easement portion is the setback area and the conforming portion is outside of the setback area.
it's all non-conforming. The structure itself is a non-conforming structure. That's not going to change.
That's my point.
I'm just not seeing it that way and I
Well, fair enough, Paul. My only concern is sticking with the ordinance, because if we're ever challenging court by enforcing, say we tell someone else you can't do something, and then they might come back and say,
Yeah.
okay, you let so-and-so do this, so why can't I do that?
Well, I mean, we have that barn up on Middle Road. I mean, and that property, I mean, if it's sold and the people want to do the same thing, if they get it out of the right of way I mean, like Dave says, it's for the betterment of the community.
Yes,
And
but it's the size that's the problem. We're giving them extra footage, but they want more. They want the size that they want, and it just, no matter.
Yeah, but it's really not the size they want. I mean, they want it much larger. And that's one of the things I did include in the very back. I took the original footprint of the original plan. Now, I don't have any documentation that shows exactly where it was on that site, but I threw that on there just for size comparison. And yes, we have zoning ordinances for a reason. There's no doubt about that. But I also look at each word in each sentence and the intent and the spirit of that, and apply that to very unique situations across the island. I used to, when I first came up here, I would take a ride on Sunday and drive around the island just to kind of see things. And honestly, now that I've been here for a while, I see things in a different way because of the zoning aspect. And there are other places, I'm sure, that we're going to run into this 5 years from now, 10 years from now, maybe 5 months from now. That if you look at the spirit of the order, if you look at what it says, if you look at the property owner here is moving things further north, and trying to get it out of the area, I think this still meets the spirit of that. And
Also, we have to consider past encroachment issues that we had, with zoning administrator mistakes. And this is another issue with zoning administrator mistakes at the very beginning. So I just think it would be a good compromise to just let them build from 945 to 1350 in the non-easement area, which,
And we've run into just now, there's just one issue as far as the setback, and that's on the south end of that. The property, it's been moved further west so that it now complies with the setbacks on the east side.
yeah.
So there's a lot of give and take here that's occurred. And I still think it's the right thing to do.
Maybe I would just a quick mention, because I thought Charlie raised a good point, is that ADU accessory dwelling unit is limited to the lesser of 1,500, or is it half the size?
65% of the principal dwelling or 1,500 square feet, whichever is less.
Yeah, right.
So if you have, like, say, a 10,000 square foot primary dwelling, you cannot have anything larger than 1,500 square feet. On the other side of it, you have 1,000 square foot primary dwelling. Well, you can't have a 1,500 square foot accessory dwelling, but you can have a 650 square foot accessory dwelling. And that's double density. We put that in, it hasn't always been in there. We put that in so people could have the opportunity to have a second accessory dwelling on their property. Maybe they'd want to rent it out long-term. There's advantages to that, but it is double density. Let's not forget that.
Right. Yeah.
Rich, do you have a breakdown on this? What's garage versus what's living?
Yes, sort of. And talk amongst yourselves. I can quickly get that.
Because it seems to me more than 50% of it was just going to be garage space.
Yeah.
But it's still an accessory structure.
Well, I mean,
If there's a livable space in there.
you can have as many accessory structures as you want.
You can have as many pole barns.
What you can't have is more than one accessory dwelling.
True. Yeah, if I misspoke, I apologize, but my point is, for an accessory dwelling, it's 1,500 square feet or 65%.
Right.
Yeah, I did not mean to infer. You can have as many garages, pole barns. Thanks for the clarification. If I misspoke, I apologize. But the point being,
Yeah. So really, I mean, it, for the purposes of, you know, of this, it really doesn't matter what the percentage of garage versus living quarters is on this. It's less than the 1,500.
right, yeah.
Well, the living space, as you say, how big is the garage? If the garage were a separate entity, would that take him where he wants to go for living space?
Well, I think it's still a non-conforming structure, whether it was a
Yeah,
garage or.
but he could put that, he could have a living space that is a certain size and a garage could be an additional somewhere else. That could be in the,
Well, and are you saying two different structures?
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So typical double garage is what, about 480? It's 20 by 24. And again, I'm just speculating, but I think that's, if I understand Sue Ellen, that's the sort of math you're doing is what is it? How can you separate those two things into
So that he can,
an allowable square feet of that 950 or what have you?
And then take the garage portion and put it somewhere else on the property where you meet setbacks.
all right, so but he would still have the living space.
Yeah, or
Again.
the garage portion could be in the setback and the living space could be in the conforming area, you know? And I'm just using it as justification. Why not just let the guy connect the two?
Because that doesn't go with what we have now. That's where the problem lies.
Well, you were just saying that you didn't think it made any difference what the dimensions of the garage and the living areas were. Rich,
Well, it's under 1,500 square feet.
okay, is he looking something up that we don't need?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I mean, honestly, so the plan set that I have was the original 2,300 square feet back from January, that the architect had completed. Honestly, looking through here, it's probably about half is garage.
It's a big garage.
well, he scaled it way down.
But, well, that's the thing, right? So this is based on 2,300 square feet that's been reduced to 13.
Yeah, he took it from that down to 13.
So I don't have exact numbers on the current plan of the 1,350, but on this, okay, it's not half, it would be a little bit more than a third.
Well, to move this along, are we voting then tonight on this land use application in front of us that shows 1,350 square feet, appendix A? Okay. So,
With not more than 945 square feet in the setbacks. And according to the plan, it's gonna be less than 945, so we could actually,
You know, one of the other, and I'll just throw this out there as well. I mean, one of the other things that there's been some recent conversation on is going back and revisiting the setbacks and what those need to be. And that's for a future TPC meeting. And obviously the 75 feet from the water, we can't change that one. And some of them that are on the schedule, are at 5 feet and 6 feet and 10 feet.
but that's why you appeal to the Board of Appeals to get a variance for setback relief. So if they wanted to appeal for setback relief, we could deny this permit, then they go for an appeal to the Board of Appeals. We need to deny this though, if they think they can get setback.
No, and this wasn't talked about with the property owner. This is just conversations with.
No, but I'm saying that is one avenue. You know, either we approve this tonight or we deny it and let the homeowner move on. That's how I feel. It's been dragged on long enough.
Yeah, I've personally feel that the town has mud on their face from way back when, and, you know, I want this. It's a great compromise. I want it approved, and I want to be looking in the rearview mirror and not see this.
Yeah, I concur. It just, you know, whether we approve it tonight, deny it, let's just move on one way or the other. Because it's not fair to the applicant and it's not fair to everyone involved.
I'm gonna make a motion that we approve this permit based on not more than 945 square feet in the setback and the remainder of his 1350 little structure in the conforming area. Discussion or second?
Need a second.
I'll second.
Jim will second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain. I'm not sure.
So we have 2 yeses, 2 nos, and an abstention, so the motion fails.
So I'm with Charlie on this. I think we need to allow the homeowner to find remedy if it can't stall out with us forever.
Well, it's now headed to the zoning board of appeals if the applicant so chooses.
Gotcha. Thank you, Paul.
So the second one here is Raspberry Trail, and that's we're gonna move that to the next meeting if the applicant has the application filled out.
Not completed.
Yep.
Yeah, good progress on this one. The property owner closed on the property today. And was dropping off the sanitary permit with the county today. So I expect this one on the agenda.
Residency requirements for TPC members.
But we're adding to the bylaws, or we're talking about the bylaws?
Well,
We're looking at the zoning ordinance itself. Says that, the town plan commission shall consist of 5 residents of the town of LaPointe, blah, blah. Right now, we have a town plan commissioner who is not a resident of LaPointe. So I think, I would like to make a recommendation to the town board that they can either have Dave Eland resign or take him off the TPC because he's not a resident, or they could change section 13.3 of the zoning ordinance and change the first sentence to read, the town plan commission shall consist of 5 members appointed by the town board. And then add a second sentence that states, 4 such members shall be residents of the town of LaPointe, and 1 member may be a non-resident that currently owns property on Madeline Island. The town board can do this through their, on section 11.2, authority and limitations that the town board can approve, can amend the ordinance at most any time. So I think because we have a commissioner that's not a resident, which is in violation of our current ordinance, that the town board needs to either remove him from the plan commission or change the ordinance so that we'll be in compliance.
So do we need a motion to recommend this?
I don't think so.
Well, we need to discuss it.
I don't know.
I think in order to, I think it should be that way. But the whole premise is what is a resident? I tried to look that up today. What is a resident? Depends on what state you're in, what the it says a resident is. I think that is a good thing to do, and I think we should have 4 full-time residents. Island residents.
4?
that live here full-time. I mean, you say, where do people vote? Where do they have paid taxes? Where does their driver's license say? That's where your residence is. So I think we've got I think that's a good compromise in order to make it legal. But I think we've got to make it very detailed in what we say so that there's no misunderstanding from here on out.
You're advocating for 4 residents and 1 non-resident?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Jim laid it out crystal clear. The town board can select 2 options, and they were.
What do you mean 2 options?
Jim laid out 2 options for the town board.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, but I don't think that we want Dave to resign. I don't think that's in the,
Well,
in the works.
I'm sure they'll select changing the bylaws to allow one.
Yes, and I'm saying when they're written, we should say 4 full-time and 1 person that is on that is not.
Yeah.
I think we've got to be, I learned with Charlie Meach, you've got to be.
So this is what I'm proposing, to add the second sentence.
For such members shall be residing residents of, I think we should say full-time residents. That is the sticking point right there, is what residents are.
Mhm.
Because I looked at,
Resident is a resident.
no, a resident is,
Well, how do you describe full-time?
I Googled it.
Okay, that's fine.
That says where you pay taxes and where you have your primary residence, and where you have your driver's license.
That's what makes you a resident.
Yeah,
Okay, why do you want full-time?
because otherwise the word resident is ambiguous. It can mean anything according to what people want it to mean.
Yeah.
I mean, Dave's a resident. He has a house here. He's a resident.
I would offer that Wisconsin has pretty clear language on residency. And I would say that this group conforms to the Wisconsin language for residency. I would offer that what might actually be a discussion for consideration for this group is not residency, but representation. So Paul Brummer got me thinking about this during the last meeting when he said, if you want to have residency, you should pay income taxes. And I think with the Town Planning Commission, representation might be a little bit different. I think with the Town Planning Commission, representation might be referring to property ownership. And so the Planning Commission rules over those types of issues that have to do specifically with property and property rights and those sorts of things. And so I would say I agree with the language that Jim put forth there. But I think what we have at work here is that the Town Planning Commission should be comprised of members who are representative of property owners in the LaPointe community overall. I've drafted a letter to this and I'll send that to you guys because I was going to share it tonight, but I'll send it along to Rich and if you could distribute it to the group. I am certainly okay with the discussion. I think we can put the residency, the full-time residency to bed because I wouldn't contest it and I agree with Wisconsin's definition. Where you've chosen to domicile, which includes voting, where your driver's license is, where you work. It could be a combination of these things, and it's pretty gray for most states in that regard. But actually, I think the Town Planning Commission should be representative of our community and our property owners on the island. And again, we don't have to get to the bottom of this tonight because I think it's new business, but I'd offer it for consideration.
Well, I'm all for just having, what Jim wrote up presented as a recommendation to the town board at this point.
Well, I agree, except I go back to other people on the island where we left things loose and not detailed enough, and it came back to bite us again and again. So the term resident versus full-time resident or whatever, I just think we have to be more detailed.
by saying, part-time property owner, that infers that the rest of them are full-time residents.
I don't think you can infer anything. I think that's just me. I think we have to nail stuff down. Remember Meach? That's where we had the problem. So anyway, whatever. Whatever.
Well, I just don't want this to reflect negatively on the job that David has done so far serving on here.
It's just abiding by the town ordinance.
Exactly,
And we're in violation of it right now.
exactly.
Let the record reflect, I completely agree with that approach, right? It's really, given the ordinance, it needs to be changed as written if it was to allow for this. We're out of compliance with that right now, for sure. I'd be the first one to raise my hand and say we were.
And I mean, yeah, I appreciate your letter, but that further might delay it. And I mean, let's just recommend this tonight.
I think it's a good starting point at what Jim asked.
Yeah,
We'll see what the town board does.
Yes.
right.
Sure.
So, and we don't have to have a motion and vote on it. So, we'll have, Rich pass it on.
Sure. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks. Future agenda items?
Have any new business?
Well, we can always add it later, but,
No, it's on the agenda.
oh, thank you. I'm sorry. New business?
Nothing.
Haven't even.
Nothing. So, future agenda items. Old business and more building permits and anything else we want to add later. Extended public comment, Paul?
And, Jim, on your, recommendation for this, residency requirement, it wasn't quite registering. Is that a change to the bylaws or to the actual ordinance itself? Peters.
Public comment.
Yeah.
Right, public comment, not questions.
Okay, well, just one, because if it's just the bylaws for fine, but if you're changing the ordinance, you're gonna have to go through a public hearing and all that other stuff, which means that's gonna take quite a while. Published in the paper, public, all that stuff. And then the other thing about this Crestman, and who knows, maybe instead of having to go through a variance, I'm not gonna get out of work. Maybe they can redesign something, maybe sit at 945, 960 is acceptable to the board. Maybe they can change it. Maybe they don't have to go through the expense of the time. It's gonna take some time to where the ordinance is written. They have to post it and publish in the paper. It's not 7 or 14 days like it is written in the new one. Who knows, maybe they want to resubmit different plans. We're trying to save some time for everyone.
Elder Smolder.
Next scheduled meeting, November 5th, 4:30 PM.
Yeah, but we have the,
Oh, well, that's our next,
Regular meeting.
oh, John, question? Comment?
I think you're on mute, John.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yes, go ahead.
I just been listening and it just concerns me how the zoning rules have been tried to twist it and bend and shape and rebent and twisted just to get the Gretzler project through. I mean, he's got the easement that the town gave him to get encroach. He can move back. But if there's rules that say he can only build or they can only build so big after the first structure, why are you guys twisting and bending and shaping? Then just open it up for whatever. Or because if you open it up for this, then you're going to open it up and it's going to be.
It's subject to interpretation and it hit a brick wall tonight.
Okay.
So thank you.
Mhm.
No other comments. Next scheduled meeting, November 5th, 4:30 PM.
Yeah.
Is that okay with everyone?
Yep.
No, that's our next regular meeting.
Yeah,
We've got our last question and answer session coming up here.
it's
So,
29
yeah,
at 5.
so, all right, well, thanks so much. Thanks for those online and we're adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
Say hi to Jackson.
Oh, I will. Thank you.